So guys, 2 weeks ago I was going for a close friend's graduation and I almost got shot. This is the part of America that no one really tells you about because they show you all the good parts and they show you Hollywood, but they don't really tell you about the gun violence in America. So this close friend's graduation, I had been planning for it for like a month. Like we went back and forth, like the things he needed, because this was my very close friend, right? So I was also gonna help like with the things he needed. So the graduation was a Friday and then the party was Saturday, and I was gonna be traveling like Thursday, like right after work. So basically on Wednesday, right, because I had told my mom about traveling. I was going from Georgia, I was going from Atlanta to Nashville, right? Nashville, Tennessee, and I had told my mom about the travel like probably like a week in advance before I was gonna travel. So I was gonna travel Thursday, and then on Wednesday my mom called me by 3 a.m. to pray for me because she'd been having bad feelings about the travel. Like she told me, I know like this is your close friend, but you don't really have to go, you know, all of that. And I was just like mommy, you know, this person is my very close friend, like there's nowhere I will go for his graduation, you know. So she was still like, okay, like, you know, still pray about it. And so I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So Thursday came, right, and I was at work. I called Uber, like I tried to call Uber to take me to the station because the station was about 45 minutes away from me, right? And then the Uber was like $150 or $115, like around that price range, right? And in my head I was like, $115 for what? Like this is normally when I try to take Uber to the same station, it takes only about $40 to $45 here about, right? So I was like $150. Why? So I kind of like waited for like 5 to 10 minutes so that the Uber could reset, right? And then I checked the Uber again. But then at this point I was kind of pissed because first of all, that day at work, like things were not going well that day at work, right? And then secondly, I was so tired. Like I was so freaking tired. Like I knew I was gonna travel, but I just didn't have the motivation to travel anymore, right? I wasn't even excited about it anymore. Like this is a graduation that my friend had been planning for like the past, you know, 2-3 months thereabouts, right? And I also had been planning, you know, for the past 1 month to go, but that day I wasn't even excited anymore. I was just like, I don't even know if I want to go anymore, right? And then when my mom called me on Wednesday to pray, it was like, okay, what's going on? And then on Thursday the Uber thing happened, right? Uber that was supposed to be like normally $45 was then $150, and I was like, okay. So then I waited for the Uber to reduce. I waited for like 5 minutes, and then the Uber reduced, right? And then I called the Uber came. So as soon as my Uber came, I told her like the time my boss was leaving. My boss was leaving around like 5:10 thereabouts, and I was like, I have to get to the station by then. My Uber came by 4, right? So that was okay, like because the station was only about 30 minutes drive from my apartment. So literally it was gonna take only like 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes, which I was gonna arrive there by like 4:30, maybe 4:35, right? Which was all fine and good. But then Atlanta traffic said no. So my Uber is kind of like trying to, you know, speed up a little bit so she can be able to take me there. She's telling me all of these stories and all of those things, and we're talking in the Uber, and then we get into traffic. The traffic takes something that would normally take 30 minutes to go there, took an hour and 30 minutes, an hour 30 minutes ish thereabout. And instead of me to arrive at the station around 4:30, I arrived at the station around 5:30. Now my boss was supposed to leave, I think it was like 5:15 or so that my boss was supposed to leave. The thing is, I was taking Greyhound. I am not going to recommend it for anyone. Please do not even take Greyhound. The only reason I took Greyhound is because Atlanta to Nashville is only like 3 hours, 4 hours with Greyhound. Well, about 4 hours with Greyhound, so it didn't really make sense to fly. Plus I also have aviophobia. I've had it since like 2019, so it's kind of like I try to minimize like my flying as much as possible. But anyway, so I took Greyhound, which again, like I said, I'm not gonna recommend for anybody. So I get to the station around 5:30. Now normally, right, Greyhound buses, a lot of the times Greyhound buses leave late. Like I have had a Greyhound bus leave 8 hours later, right? My friend, the time she was coming to visit me, she had Greyhound leave like, I don't know, like I think it was like 4 hours later. She was calling me that day. She was so pissed when she was coming to visit me, right? So I was just like, okay, please, like this bus, can you please just like, you know, leave maybe like 10-15 minutes later, you know. But then unfortunately for me, the bus left like around 5 minutes later, right? So when I got to the bus, like if I had gotten to the bus station 5 minutes earlier, I would have been able to go, like I would have been able to take that bus. But when I arrived, the bus had already left. So I was like, oh my God. So I went to the counter, right? I went to ask the customer representative people there, right? And I was like, okay, can I like get on the next bus that is leaving like immediately? That is leaving like right after this bus. And they said, yeah, sure. Now my bus was around like 5:15, right? And the next bus was gonna leave around 10:45, basically 11. I was like, wait, what? She said, yeah. And I had to actually pay for another ticket for that bus. Like I had to pay $20 to get like for my ticket to be upgraded to the next one, which I find very sad because it's like I've already paid for the ticket before. Like why? I don't know. Greyhound is just, anyway, back to my story. I say okay, like I asked her to give me the ticket, like the one for 11 p.m., right? And she gives me the ticket. And then now I'm thinking in my head, it's still 5:30. Do I go back home and like wait till maybe like 9:30 and then start coming out? Or do I just stay? Because I was gonna wait in the station for about 5-6 hours thereabouts, and I had such a bad day at work. I was tired as hell, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to do this, right? My mind, like my intuition is telling me just go home, go home, go home, go home. Or if you don't want to go home, look up and see if like one of your friends that lives around the vicinity. So I'm going through my contacts. I don't really see anybody that lives around the vicinity that I know that I can be like, hey, can I just maybe like come to your place and stay for like the next 4 hours? So I'm still thinking, do I go home? Because the thing is, if I go home, that's like another Uber of like $50, right? And then coming back again is like another Uber of $50. So like in one night, I was gonna spend like at least between $100 to $200 just on Uber, and your girl don't have that kind of money yet. So I was like, okay, let me just stay. You can do this, right? In my head, I was like, okay, you can do this. And now, something you guys don't know, or maybe you do know, is that Greyhound stations, they're very sketchy. And if you know the Greyhound station in Atlanta, you know that it's in I think Forsyth, and it's in the Southwest. So like, if you're coming in there, like there are literally homeless people there, and there are people like, everyone there has a gun. Like you're around very sketchy people. So I was very scared. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was very scared because I don't even stay at the station. Whenever I take Greyhound, it's like I'm arriving right as my bus is leaving, or maybe like 10 minutes before my bus is leaving, because I don't trust it at all, right? So I'm there, and then I'm sitting, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know if I want to stay here, but I'm, trying to mind my business just on my phone. And then all of a sudden, a fight broke out. Like this Oyibo man, I don't know what happened. He's like screaming, oh, I didn't do it. And then the two guys are like holding him down, like trying to prevent him from being violent and everything. And I'm just like, God, please protect your daughter, because I don't know what's going on here. That was the first thing that happened. I think that one happened around 7:15 thereabouts, right? At that point, I'm still like, maybe I should go home, maybe I shouldn't go home, right? But then I'm like, okay, you've tried, you've done 2 hours, you have 3 hours left. I'm out here motivating myself, girl, you can do this, you can stay, don't worry. You don't need to spend $100 in one night. Okay, so now around, I want to say 9:15, because I was on my phone at that point. That was this actually happened the day, I don't know if you guys know, there's a YouTuber called Kevin Samuels. He's like a relationship person. That was the day he died, or the day the news came out that he died. Because I was on my phone, I was on Twitter, and I saw it. I was like, what, Jesus? Like I literally, like, I don't watch his videos, but like it pops up on YouTube every now and then, right? So I was like, wait, wow. Because I remember I was on my Twitter around that time, and I think it was around 9:15, and as I'm scrolling through Twitter, the next thing I hear is like gunshots. Like when I mean gunshots, like pa 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 pa. It's like, oh my God, Jesus, what the hell is going on? Everyone and their mama lay on the floor, like Jesus. Guys, it was bad, right? It was very bad. So everyone lay on the floor. The people that were close to the restroom ran into the restroom, right? because I saw like you would hear like footsteps of people like jumping around into the restroom. Everyone lay on the floor. Now my suitcase is kind of like, you know, the way this chair is. My suitcase is here, like I'm on the floor, I'm lying down. I got my phone, like I'm not pressing my phone or anything, because at this point I thought it was a robbery, right? Because then there were like 3 men standing at the door side. This was inside the station. I was inside the station proper. I wasn't outside, right? So there were like about 3 men standing around the door, right? So I thought it was a robbery. In my head I'm like, oh my god, Jesus. I'm trying to text my, like in my head I'm like, I need to text my mom. Like I don't want to text her per se, because I know she's gonna like, my mom is not gonna, I don't think my mom is gonna survive it if anything happens to me, god forbid. But I didn't really want to test her, but in my head I was like, I need to test a family member, right? Because if anything happens to me right now, like who's gonna know, right? No one is gonna know. So I'm on my phone, but at the same time too, I'm trying to hide, so like the robbers, because at this point I thought it was robbery, I was trying to hide so that like they don't see me like pressing my phone, right? So as it's happening, like as the conscious are still going off, I text my friends my location, like, so two of my closest friends, 3 of us are in a group chat, so I text them, I'm like, shooting is going on. Like I had so much error in that message, because of course I couldn't even type well. As it's happening, then all of a sudden it just stops, like the shooting just stops. But you know, no one could really get up. Like it took a few minutes, and then we started hearing the cop sirens. It took a few minutes before like we started like getting up a little bit, one after the other, right? And you see, when this shooting was happening, when I was on the floor lying, the girl next to me, she's Hispanic, like my eyes and her eyes jammed, and I could see so much fear in her eyes, like, and I realized that was the way I looked too. You know, when something is happening and you feel your life, like you feel your life flashing in your eyes. Like I've never had, that was a very very bad experience. Like that was so traumatic. I mean, right now I'm telling the story, it's like, okay, I'm kind of like past it, but that was a very traumatic incident for me. Like I'm looking at the girl, it's like, wow, like we're actually gonna die, you know. Sorry guys. But yeah, so that was kind of like what happened. And then the men started getting up, the men in the station started getting up like one after the other, and then we looked, and apparently the cops had like calmed everything down. So when everything was calm, it was around 9:38, because I remember I looked at my phone there and then, and it was like around 9:38, and I texted my friend. Now this friend of mine, he lives around like 30 minutes away from the station, but at that point I was like, I don't care how far, I'm leaving this place, right? Now as I'm texting him, I'm like, can you please call me an Uber? But the thing is, I wasn't even thinking properly, because it's like, if the shooting is going on outside the station, like right outside the station, and my Uber comes, how am I gonna get into the Uber with the bullets flying around, you know? But I just wanted to leave that place. I was like, please call me an Uber, like come and pick me up from this place. And he calls the Uber, but the Uber is arriving in 30 minutes, either 20 or 30 minutes, I can't remember which. And I was like, wow. Now remember, my boss leaves at 10:45, so if he calls Uber and Uber is arriving at 30 minutes, it's gonna arrive around 10, and now to go to his house I'm gonna reach his house around 10:30, and my boss is leaving at around 10:45. So when I kind of like did the math and everything, I was like, there's really no need, I'm just gonna stay in the station. So I'm at the station. I then call him and I tell him to please like stay on the line, because at this point my 2 friends, they're not really like, they traveled, so they don't really like understand. Like they just texted me and they were like, hey, you're shooting, what is going on? Like they thought I was talking about something else, right? So they didn't really understand what was going on. So I called the guy and I texted him, and I was like, don't say anything, but like just be with me on the phone just in case anything happens, right? So that passed, and then around 10:45, actually at around 10:45 my boss came, but they had to do some clearance, because now the station, like right outside the station, was a crime scene, so they couldn't really come in directly to pick us up. So we were on the line for maybe like 20 minutes, because the boss arrived like 10:45. We were supposed to leave by 10:45, but we left like, I want to say like 11:10 thereabout. And we're like evacuating, right? As we're evacuating, like there's this man's like, he's been staring at me ever since, and he's like, come, and I'm like, me? And he's like, yeah, come. I'm like, mm-mm. Like, this man is a whole creep. I'm like, like, I just survived the shooting. Don't tell me to come. Do you know how creepy that is? I mean, I didn't tell that to him. As that is happening, we're on the line trying to, like, those that are going to Nashville to go, like, to go into the bus, right? They're kind of like evacuating us. Like, the cops are there. They're trying to, like, oh, be in a straight line, do this, like, don't step into the crime scene. And then, I'm talking to this Oibo guy in front of me, and he actually, like, this man actually, I'm even glad he survived. This man, he was on the streets. Like, his brother had literally dropped him, and as his brother drove off, that was when the gunshots started ringing out. Or, like, that was when the gunshots started going off on the streets. Like, he was on the streets when the shooting was happening. I was like, and you survived this? Like, yo, man, you need to go and do a Thanksgiving, you know? So yeah, he was telling me that he was like right outside when the gunshot was going off and everything, and I was like, I am so happy. I am so happy we survived this. Like, anyway, we, you know, from a straight line, they're like taking us out, and then when you look, like, when we come out of the station, when you look right outside, there's like this whole crime scene thing, you know, the yellow tape thing that they do. It's all over there. Like, you can see the cops are like, you know, all around there and everything. And we get into the bus, and at the bus, you know, people are talking about it, and the man that I was talking to told me that apparently one person died, and I was like, Jesus. So people are talking about it. I don't really know what went on, but it seemed like it was an altercation, because I started, like, for the next like 3-4 days, I started looking up at the news and everything, because I wanted to figure out what happened, because I was so traumatized. And I looked at the local news of Atlanta, and it was like two men, there was like an altercation, and they like shot at each other, something like that. I don't know, guys. But yeah, so one of them then died, and that was the victim that the Oiberman was telling me about. So that was what happened. The thing that made me sad, like, not just the fact that I was traumatized, and you know, the very funny thing, the next day, Friday, I was at work. And, like, this is America. Like, I was at work. I couldn't even take the day off to say, let me go recuperate, you know, let me go and, like, you know, take care of my mental health, just because of, like I said, this is America. We live to work. Europeans work to live. Here we live to work. Anyway, but yeah, as I was saying, the very thing that made me very sad about this incident is the fact that, like, in America, gun violence is so rampant that we know normally, right, the adrenaline would tell you flight or fright, right? Like, the adrenaline will either tell you like fight or you run, right? But here, like, what we did was, we all knew when the gunshot went off to lie on the floor. Normal people will like run. I mean, that's not really the right response, but normal people will run, right? That's not the right response, like I said, because of stray bullets, but normal people will run. But everyone knew to lay on the floor. Like, in America, we receive education on, like, you know, how to, like, if a school shooting happens, how to run in a zigzag. If a shooting happens, lay on the floor, then like, you know, things like that. And it's just so sad that this is America and there's just a rampant gun violence. But yeah, that was what happened, guys. I'm just grateful to be alive. Like, that was so traumatic, but I'm just glad that it's all over, and I'm glad that, you know, I made it out alive, and I'm glad that I'm still alive here, like I said. So anyway, that's the end of my story time, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and join my Telegram group also if you want, and I'll see you guys in another video.